Good evening, board members, Dr. Hernandez, and district staff. The time is now 6 p.m. on this 30th day of July, and I call this meeting of the Edgewood Independent School District board members to order. I will call the roll. Vice President Frank Espinosa. Present. Secretary Stella Camacho.
Here.
Board Member Timothy Payne.
Present.
Board Member Martha Castilla.
Here.
Board Member Joseph Guerra.
Present.
Board Member James Hernandez.
Present.
President Roy Soto, I'm here as well. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Ms. Calderon Lugo.
If everybody can please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to Texas state under God, one. You may be seated. Good evening, Board President Soto, members of our school board, Dr. Hernandez, community, and staff. It is with a heavy heart that I share with everyone here this evening the heartbreaking news of the passing of our beloved Officer Regina Reed. Officer Reed passed away this morning surrounded by her family. She has been an esteemed and treasured member of the Edgewood ISD family for 30 years. Her commitment to the students of EISD and her love for her community was felt and seen by so many. Her continuous desire to always serve and support Edgewood ISD was a priority for her. Officer Reed will be missed. So on behalf of Edgewood ISD, we extend our most heartfelt condolences to her family, and we ask everyone that you please keep her family in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this very difficult time. We also want to extend our condolences to the Edgewood ISD Police Department, who many of them are joining us this evening, and all of her colleagues and friends who are also mourning her loss. We do plan on having a celebration of life for Officer Reed at the August board meeting. Details will follow. But at this time, I'd like to ask if we can please take a moment of silence in honor of Officer Regina Reed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll continue with the next agenda item, the superintendent's report. Dr. Hernandez, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Soto, board members, and members of the Edgewood ISD community. First of all, before I move on, I want to do a round of applause for Officer Reed. I am a firm believer that we're all brought into this world for a purpose. And although she may be absent physically in the world, I believe in energy. I think we all put energy out there somewhere. And so I'd ask the members of the community that are here this evening, that you stand with me and give her a round of applause wherever she may be. Thank you, everybody. We never want to lose the fact that this organization is about people. At the center of everything we do, people matter. And even when we're no longer here, we all want to go knowing that somebody will remember whatever contribution we made to the district. I want to make sure that we acknowledge that this evening. But I'll go ahead and move forward with the superintendent's report. There we go. So as always, I always like to remind the community about our board superintendent goals. We have 5 board superintendent goals that we adhere to in everything that we say and everything that we do in terms of our actions also in the school district. They all revolve around everything from student success, which is our number 1 priority, to financial stewardship, which is our goal 5. And so for today's report, I wanted to start with our kids. Our kids had an opportunity this summer to be a part of Port San Antonio Summer Internship Program. And so these are our 3 students that actually have spent a majority of their summer interning with executives over in Port SA. And there was an evening dedicated to the students that were part of this project. And so I wanted to acknowledge those students, our students from our high schools, and let the community know that there's good things happening for our kids. We all know that exposure and experience is extremely important in our educational experience, because I always say intelligence is not limited to any part of any part of our city or any part of our nation. It's options sometimes that kids don't have. And we want to make sure that we continuously offer options to our kids in our schools. So that was the first thing that I wanted to share with. The second thing that I wanted to share also, and I'm very proud of sharing this preliminary rating that we now have from our TA. Last year when we started this journey, we were at a 63 and fell in the D range in terms of our school district report card. And so I am very happy to report that at this point, we are sitting at a strong 78, moving towards the B. Yes, that is all because of the hard work that goes on in our buildings. Our teachers, our principals, our counselors, our support staff, our custodians, our nutrition workers, people in this room. Obviously, this is the first step towards more sustainable work. We still have a lot of work to do in our school district. We've been on a journey together for a year, and we're going to continue this journey. But this is something that we, I think, have to take a moment to really just relish in the work that we're doing and learn from it, and then keep moving forward. The second thing that I also want to report is that on our college and career military readiness indicator, we're looking to move from a 61 to an 83, which is a solid B now. So yes, that's another. So what translation, just the bottom line translation, is this means we're doing a better job of getting our kids prepared for life after high school. As many of us know, because we all probably got out of high school at some point, when you leave high school, the first thing you look at is, wait, I don't have to come back here anymore? Now what do I do? And so I think we're doing a better job of preparing our kids, but we're by no means where we want to be. And so this is a good start. I think our community needs good news and a good push forward. And so I think this is a great start. We still are going to have some campuses that are considered in the challenging sector, as what the state would call improvement required. I want to be transparent about that. But I also do not want to disregard that there was a lot of good that came out of this year's accountability score. So I wanted to start with that because that all goes into goal 1, focus on student success. And I'm going to report this out. I'm going to continue to report this out on our social platforms, but I'm also going to report this out at Convocation on August 15th for our school district. And I want our teachers to know about this too. The second thing, goal 2, is about our community that I want to talk about is Lucy Hall, one of our former board members, received an accolade for all the progress and work that she made during her time on our school board. So I don't want to not acknowledge that work and that this event happened. And there is actually a resolution that we're voting on this evening on behalf of Ms. Hall. And we're planning on doing something in our August board meeting as well in terms of making a presentation and then sending that document and a plaque that we're preparing for Ms. Hall. I know she's moved on to North Carolina, I believe, but we don't want to move forward and not acknowledge the years that she provided in service in the district, because as our board members would attest, it's a lot of work to be a board member. And so I know in the year that I've been here, I got to visit with her a few times. And it's a lot of work that she did in her time on the board. So we want to acknowledge that as well. Goal 4, the other thing I wanted to report to our community is that one of the conversations we started this school year in terms of our leadership teams in the school district is around crucial accountability and conversations in the district. Everything that we do revolves around leadership. So if we're going to create a sustainable, highly effective school district, that begins with the leadership of the district. starts with the superintendent and works also simultaneously with every member of our campus leadership teams as well as our central office. So these are just some of the areas that we're going to be focusing on this year. And I'm a big picture guy, so I always like to bring pictures up. We're also going to talk about our emotional intelligence in the district. We're looking at how do we reconnect with just our emotions as people, because I think being fully transparent, we all struggle, but we don't talk about things like that. And I worry about our kids who are coming into our schools who are struggling too, and they have no one to go to. So if the adults if we don't have the courage to have these conversations and admit that we struggle too, then how do we serve kids in the best way that we can? So this is another conversation that we engaged in. Libby Spears was the consultant that we brought in to work with us. I'm actually going to be asking her to come and work with our board as well, because I believe that if we're working with our leadership team in the school district, then we also want to do that with our governing body. So we're going to be engaging in that conversation too as a school board team of 8 here in the next few months. And then the last thing is just leadership, as I've been talking about, leadership in general, and just really understanding teamwork. And that teamwork is more than just a slogan, and understanding, I just talked about feelings, that some days we're going to be okay and some days we're going to get on each other's nerves. That's okay. But we have a mission that's more important than how I felt today, because we're maybe having to provide feedback. We're going to get past these things as a school district, because that is what a highly sustainable and highly effective school district does. And so I wanted to report out to the community that these are conversations that are happening throughout our school district. And of course, the theme of our retreat was Our Story, Our Why. That's the picture we took. Those are that's the district leadership team, assistant principals, directors, executive directors, everybody. And yes, we look a little casual. We had a little fun out there too. I mean, it wasn't just to sit there. But I'm really glad that we had an opportunity to just come together as a group. And I said to the group, this is a 3-year journey for us. We're going to continue this conversation for the next 3 years. So this isn't just a fad that we're jumping on because it sounds like it's the end thing. This speaks to rebuilding the relationship with Edgewood as a community, because I've always said we have to build this fractured relationship grassroots up, and it starts with each one of us individually. So again, I'm sharing that with everyone, and these are just other pictures from that day. Me talking to Ms. Silva, one of our principals, and of course our lead learner in the district, our academic officer, Ms. Salinas, there on the right, being a good student and taking notes there. So thank you to Ms. Salinas for that. But again, these are just pictures, and that's my superintendent's report this evening, Mr. Soto.
Thank you, Dr. Hernandez. Board members will continue with item 3, presentation and discussions. Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Philip Chavez, would you please come forward?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, staff, community members. Tonight, we're providing a continuous improvement for governing teams Lone Star Governance regular board meeting report. Today, this follows a 3-year calendar for reporting Lone Star Governance student outcome goals and goal progress measures. Today, we're going to look at 2 of those pieces. The first one is the number of TA designated high-need campuses with teachers with less than 2 years to decrease to 0% by the end of school year 2022. And the second is goal progress measure 2.1. The percent of students meeting standard on STAR mathematics will increase from 63 to 77% by June 2023. The first piece looks at the number of schools that are currently in what we used to call IR status, but now with the letter system, we're projecting that when they are released in August 15th, that we may have 7 schools that make this particular mark. Again, August 15th is when TEA releases all scores, all accountability pieces. 2017, we had 1. 2018, we had 6, and we jumped up by 1. As we look at data, I want to point out, as our superintendent pointed out earlier, that the district gained 15 points from a 63 to a 78, receiving we're projecting out to have a C for the district. The second bullet point indicates our college, career, military readiness component, and that component raised from a 61 to an 83. Our 5-year goal for CCMR was an 82. We met and surpassed that particular goal. 5 campuses overall increased, with Memorial High School having the largest gain of 21 points, and we are projecting a score of an 80 or a B. Kennedy High School had double-digit gain to a 76 or a C. Team Fine Arts Academy, the first year that they were rated for accountability, and we're projecting a C also. Henry B. Gonzalez had a gain of 12 points. Gus Garcia had a gain of 3 points, both of those at the D level. LBJ had a gain of 3 points. As we look at some of the refinements and areas that we need to target and we need to work on, 7 campuses, as we mentioned previously, will receive below a 60 or an F. 9 campuses received some drops. I do want to point out that 2 campuses received an F due to the fact that even though they were scored above a 60, the 3F rule placed them in that particular category despite receiving a higher score. 5 schools remain below a 60 from 18 to 19. 3 of the schools, however, I do want to say what measures were taken for these. 3 of these schools had a new principal in 2019. 2 schools, Brentwood and Gardendale, will open their new school model this year. 2 schools are currently undergoing incubation for a new school model opening in 2020-21, and 1 school will open a new school model in 21-22. The superintendent evaluation, as a result of this particular constraint, resulted, if you look on the bottom left-hand corner, as an intervene, simply because of the scores of the campuses that received an F for this particular constraint. As you can see, those particular bullets there target what we're going to do, and the plans that are already in place for these particular campuses, and that concludes this particular LSG constraint report. I'm sorry, this particular constraint. The next piece is a goal progress measure 2.1, looking at our 3rd grade math. In 2018, last year, we had a 63%. This year, as we monitored, we started off at 23%, moving up to 56, and culminating in a 66th percentile. If you notice on the right-hand side, in the green bars, those represent the 5-year score, are the 5-year goals from 2019-2023. As you can see, we met the 2019 goal. Reinforcements for this area, we had approaches level increased by 3%, and our top performers were Perales, 75% approaches, and Winston at 74% approaches. Half or 5 out of the 10 campuses had increases from the prior year, and our limited English proficient scores rose by 1% previous. Our refinements and areas that we need to target, we have the remaining 5 schools that we'll be targeting for 3rd grade mathematics. We had a slight drop in master's level, and special education had a significant drop that we will be working on this year for 3rd grade. Looking at the superintendent evaluation for 3rd grade mathematics, the fact that we met the projected goal for this year places our score at a proficient, because they met the standard. We met the standard, rather. And mathematics instructional plans are being established already and have been conveyed to our teachers. This concludes what we covered today. Constraint progress measure, pending accountability results in August 15th, and our goal progress measure 2.1. Thank you.
Board members, do we have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Chavez.
Thank you.
At this time, we move on to the consent agenda items. Is there a motion regarding the consent agenda items as listed?
Make a motion, we can accept the consent agenda as presented.
Can you identify the items?
Sorry. Items A, B, C, D, E, F. You want me to go through them?
A through N.
A
A
through,
through F, A through N.
thank you. Board members, do we have a second?
Second, Mr. President.
Board member Guerra moves. Board member Timothy Payne seconds. Do we have any discussion? If we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We will now move to action items. Board members, we only have one action item, item A. We will discuss and approve Lone Star Governance Board quarterly progress tracker for July 2019, 10th quarter. Board members, if you can pull out your packet for Lone Star Governance. If you can turn to page 2, Quarterly Board Progress Tracker, Edgewood ISD. You're going to find that this document has different columns. It'll show 3 quarters ago, 2 quarters ago, 1 quarter ago, and current quarter. What it does is it lists what we have approved as scores on how we have, what we have achieved with Lone Star Governance, and at what level we're operating at. Again, it tracks the previous 3 quarters, and tonight we will self-assess for this past quarter. You can see that there are sections for Vision 1, Vision 2, 3, 4, Accountability 1, Accountability 2, Structure, Advocacy, and Unity. If we can turn to page 3, Texas Framework Vision 1. The board works collaboratively with the superintendent to develop the vision and student outcome goals. Board members, what is highlighted on this document indicates what we have achieved and where we're currently operating. You'll notice that everything is highlighted up through meets focus. Now the columns here are does not meet focus, preparing to focus, approaches focus, meets focus, and masters focus. As you can see, the highlighted areas move all the way through meets focus. So this is where we're operating today. Our challenge for the next quarter will be to move into the master's focus. Let's turn to page 9, Vision 2. The board has adopted goal progress measures aligned to each student outcome goal. Again, the same categories are evaluated, and you can see that we are highlighted 100% through meets focus. Again, our challenge is to move into the master's focus area, and again, that will be something we'll be doing in the next quarter. Let's go ahead and turn to page 15. This is Vision 3. The board has adopted a vision for what student outcomes will be and has adopted constraints aligned with that vision. Again, you'll notice that we have everything highlighted through meets focus, and we have 2/3 of the master's focus highlighted, which means that we have 1/3 to achieve in order for us to gain a mastery in that area. Let's go ahead and turn to page 21. Again, we have the same columns, the same ratings. We're looking at Vision 4. The board has adopted constraint progress measures aligned to each constraint. Again, we have everything highlighted through meets focus, and we have 50% of the master's focus highlighted. So again, we have opportunity in that category, and that'll be our focus in this next quarter. Let's turn to page 22. Accountability 1. The board invests at least half of its time focusing on its vision and student outcome goals. We have achieved 100% through meets focus and 1/3 into the master's focus. Again, our opportunity is in the master's area, so we will focus on that. Board members, let's turn to page 25. Accountability 2. The board measures and communicates but does not interfere in progress toward the vision and student. We have the preparing to focus 100% highlighted. We have 75% of approaches focus highlighted, so we do have opportunity in that category. We do have 1/3 of the meets focus highlighted, so there is opportunity there as well. And we do have 50% of the master's focus highlighted. So again, we have opportunity there. Until we have in each category, until we have 100% of that area highlighted, we do not get credit for those points. Let's move on to page 29. Structure. The board delegates to the superintendent operational authority to accomplish the vision and student outcome goals. You'll notice that through meets focus, 100% is highlighted and 50% is highlighted in the master's focus. So we do have opportunity in that regard. Let's turn to page 30. Advocacy. The board promotes the vision. We have 100% highlighted through approaches focus. Meets focus, we have 50% and 50% highlighted in the master's focus. So again, there is opportunity in the meets focus and also in the master's focus. Let's turn to page 31. Unity. The board works collaboratively with the superintendent to lead toward the vision and student outcome goals. Here, you'll notice that we have 100% of every section highlighted, so we are at the master's focus in this area. Board members, let's go back to page number 1. Quarterly Board Progress Tracker, Edgewood ISD. As I mentioned, in each one of these columns, we have, in the first column, 3 quarters back, we approved these scores. In 2 quarters ago, we approved those scores. 1 quarter ago, we approved those scores. In the current quarter, you have seen what is highlighted. You have seen where we're operating. You have seen what we have achieved. So do we have a motion to accept the current quarter's numbers?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the quarterly progress report on our school board self-evaluation with regards to Vision 1, current quarter, 12 points, meets focus. Vision 2, 12 points, meets focus. Vision 3, 9 points, meets focus. Vision 4, 4 points, meets focus. Accountability 1, 12 points, meets focus. Accountability 2, 0.5 points, preparing to focus. Structure, 12 points, meets focus. Advocacy, 3 points, approaches focus. Unity, 10 points, masters focus.
Board members, do we have a second?
So moved.
Secretary Stella Camacho moves. Board member Martha Castilla seconds. Do we have any discussion? If we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Mr. Chavez, you have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board and also the audience, what you just witnessed was a quarterly board self-evaluation of the Lone Star governance goals and their progress tracker. You can see that as the board self-evaluates this piece, they are looking at each one of those indicators to see if they've met each of those indicators. We met, are the board and the superintendent, as well as several senior leadership team members met for 2 days with TEA to go over the Lone Star governance rules and regulations and the quarterly board tracker. And the rubric that we saw tonight is indeed each of the pieces that monitor the board. So normally this piece was done in a study session. Today, we brought it forward to enact it during a board meeting. So I want to thank each and every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience into this evening's venture.
Thank you. The time is now 6:31 p.m., and the board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to Section 551.071 and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. The board is now in closed session.
Takes you right.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Sounded like a Bud Light,
All right.
but it wasn't a Bud Light. Let the record show that was.
Show it.
Bourbon. We're not live.
But we're still on camera.
I have to make a recommendation.
That's funny. I can't wait. A ver.
Frank doesn't even know where he is.
Reconvened from closed session. The time is now 7:03 PM, and the board will take appropriate action on items if necessary, as discussed in closed session. Superintendent, do we have a recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Soto, I recommend to the board that you accept the recommendation for Christopher A. Nestor as the Chief Transformation and Innovation Officer for the Edgewood Independent School District.
Board members, do we have a motion?
Yes, I motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation of Mr. Christopher Nestor, appointing him as Chief Transformation and Innovation Officer.
Board members, do we have a second?
Second.
Secretary Stella Camacho moves. Board member Joseph Guerra seconds. Do we have any discussion? If we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, board members, is communication from citizens. We did not have anyone sign up this evening. The time is now 7:05 PM. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. President.
Board members, do we have a second?
A second.
Board member Timothy Payne moves. Board member Martha Castilla seconds. Do we have any discussion? If we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.